Yes. From the RDSS, whether or not we are still if we are being.
Thank you very much.
Oh, okay, but that's different, right?
Yeah, I can put that in.
Oh, you
workshop.
certainly can.
Are you mentioning it? Sure.
Well, I was only going to mention it in terms of that. But what
Here we go. The notice of this meeting was provided in the Cranford Chronicle, advertised on January 2nd, 2015. Are we? Normally posted on the municipal public bulletin board as filed in the office of the municipal clerk of the public. Time and place according to provisions in the Open Public Meeting Law, Chapter 231, PL1, 1975. I would ask everyone to put their cell phones on mute or shut them off, and any electronic devices off their dates, please. Thank you. I see that the borough engineer is excused this evening. They're not.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's see. Well, we've got a few things. We have an ordinance to be introduced tonight, which is designated as 1501. You may have a question as to what the purpose of that ordinance is, and the purpose is to remove the indexing provision of the political contributions ordinance because, frankly, it's a small adjustment and is causing administrative problems in terms of having to revise forms each year to adjust for the increase in inflation and the indexing of the contributions. So the recommendation was to just eliminate it because it's not working. If you want to raise the contribution threshold at some time, just raise it. What's the threshold now? $400. That's pretty much it. I've done some other things, but I think they're on, they will be on until next meeting, so we can talk about them next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Bernard?
No, Mayor.
Thank you. We'll go on to Administrative Clerk Tina Ariella.
Okay, I only have two things. The first one is, you know that you passed a regulation a couple years ago that you, the mayor and council, take training. So I set up, I have some dates for training. It has to be a special meeting because all of you will be present. So the dates that they offered me, and the training is free, by the way, is February 10th or 24th, which both are no good because they're council meeting nights. 3/3, actually 3/3 is the only one because the other ones are all council meeting nights that they sent me. So that would be March 3rd, and I just want to remind you that I could ask her to push it off later if you want, because there will be other special meetings in March and April for the budget.
Is it possible to push it back?
You know, it's done by our insurance company. They get a lawyer to do it for us.
Okay.
And it's usually hard for me to get dates, but I'll have to
Well, why don't we
try.
just, can we pull the council March 3rd? Is there any problems?
Okay.
Is it Tuesday?
What day is it?
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Tuesday, March 3rd.
I can make it later than usual. I can make
Well,
it
how
7:30.
long is the training?
She said,
Approximately.
7:30 would be better for me.
she said it would be, I think about an hour and a half.
Oh, okay.
What training is this for?
A lawyer's gonna provide you training on ethics over at Open Public Meetings Act.
This
But
specific training is mandatory?
no, you pass regulations saying you get training to say what kind. Any training is okay,
For instance, if we already went to
then it's okay.
the training this past weekend, then we're fine.
Yeah, I mean, well, let's take a poll. Is everybody taking you're taking some form of training, you took, you taking it?
Not for council, no.
You take it though from You
I
must
take it
take
from-
a lot
I
of
take
training.
30 I get 30 credits a year.
Right, how
but-
about you?
Yes, on the
Okay.
list.
This is what I'm asking, why do we have to take this one? Because
You don't
maybe
have
later
to.
in the year, I'll choose to take another training and I'm covered, and a few people have already gone to training and they're
Yeah.
covered.
The
You
league
don't
doesn't
have to.
offer that many though, as the year goes on.
You
That's
just gotta,
been
you just
one
gotta
of
make
the
sure you go, that's, I think
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
the only,
I-
probably that.
Right.
I've always
Yeah.
gone to 1 or 2 trainings a year.
The best practices was the reason why we did it. And they don't ask me, did your council go? They just ask me, did you pass it and take it? So I say yes, but if they ever back it up 1 year with, do they actually take the training, I wanna be able to say yes. So it's my responsibility to set up the training, but if you wanna do it your own way or anything,
Is the criteria so many hours in a year or so?
no, there's no criteria, it's just that you will take, you made training mandatory for yourself,
Okay.
so, I gotta make sure that
This
you,
past weekend, Councilman Petroselli and Councilwoman Tedesco and myself were at that training.
Right.
So I know we're signing up for a couple more, I think, Jim.
that's all, and Jim is.
February.
You're all covered already. I'd rather go on one that I choose to go to for the league.
Okay, well then,
And not
Lou,
go
did you
to
go to
the
any or are you planning?
Just one.
Okay.
Yes.
So then the only person left is Mikey, and I have to find some training to pick it up somewhere. Okay, all right, then
All right.
we just won't do this, is that okay with
I
everybody?
think it's,
It gives more
consensus of the
flexibility for the
group.
Okay,
budget
yeah.
process too.
Okay, no problem,
And we all know that the budget process is significant.
yes,
We
it
have
is.
to
There's a
make-
lot of night meetings for the committee
Right.
and a lot of time taken out of everybody's lives for that, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, the other thing is I sent you guys an email on this encroachment matter. So, December 9th, we talked about it, you told me to, I re-listened to the tape because I wasn't sure. Because I was unclear as to who is going to cover this, so I need, you tell me to send a letter saying that we're gonna install a fence, but we don't address what's already there. And in my email, I told you, we got one quote, it's gonna cost $400 to put the fence on the asphalt and $1,150 to remove all the wood fences in the area. So I need to know how you want me to proceed before I send a letter to the residents.
Well, to me, the issue that we have is, there were 4 encroachments. One corrected the problem financially, hired someone and paid for it. We had another person with, I believe it was 2 sheds, and it didn't cost them anything financially, but they physically moved their sheds themselves. They didn't wait for the borough to do it. I forget what the exact other 2 are, I remember them, but I believe they haven't been taken care of yet.
Well, I think the one specifically that you're talking about is the one where there's blacktop that's way over the property line by at least 10 feet.
That's the eastern side by Myrtle, right?
Yeah.
Right, and
That's the block.
I've seen that that property over there.
I remember at that last meeting, I specifically asked, if we did this and we incurred the expense, would we pass on the expense to the property owner?
Mhm.
And we didn't clarify that answer.
No, we didn't.
Because that one, the one who took care of it himself, he paid for it, he incurred the expense.
Right.
So now, if we do it for those who didn't abide by what we asked them to do, and we incur the expense, where's the fairness there?
I agree. I don't think it's fair.
Can you speak on that, Mr. Hunt?
Yeah, I may not have said it definitively, but it'd be very difficult to collect. I mean, the cost of collecting, you can't just lien property. So for example, you'd have to collect from the property owner, and in my opinion, collecting from the property owner would be, as expensive as removing the blacktop. So I thought that we had settled on, we were just going to put the fence. And
That's what
whatever was there was to be there, and not spend money doing that.
So it's costing us money to remove certain items. I mean, what did you say it's
It's
gonna
gonna
cost us?
cost $1,150 to remove the wood fence, which you have to put up your fence. And it will cost $400 to put the fence into the asphalt, that means not remove it. And somebody asked what the other encroachment was. The encroachment at 167 Myrtle is 4-foot picket fence on the easterly side of the property and the covered patio on the southerly side of the property are encroaching into the park. Also, portions of the driveway and curb encroach as indicated in the survey forwarded on May 28th. So that's that one address.
That's one property.
Right.
Okay.
The other property, the encroachment is the driveway is approximately 10¼ feet over the westerly side of the property, and the stockade fences and sheds on the westerly side and northerly side the property owner encroaching into the park. That's 116 Myrtle.
You would think that 10 feet of driveway should be ripped up.
Well, that's what my question would be, once we drill the holes in the asphalt, the encroachment interfere with anything by still being there?
I don't think so.
I mean, I haven't looked at it, to be honest with you.
No,
next to the
the asphalt won't interfere, it'll just be an asphalt corner of the park, but if your fence will go around it, whereas, I've seen her area there, but, I'm just not getting a good, but you would have a corner where your fence goes like that, and it would be asphalt there, which maybe could be a spot for putting
Just
something.
concerned about a tripping hazard or something,
I don't think it's lifted, does anybody know? It's lifted asphalt, I think it's flat to the ground.
No, just it goes and extends into the park, and I've spoken to the homeowner. I mean, she basically just, she bought the property like that, and she's just surprised, so, I mean, obviously, if it's our property, it's our property, we should put the fence, but I think to go ahead and then to bill her for ripping it up, I think that's kind of unfair.
But that's what the other
That doesn't-
gentleman did.
The other gentleman chose to do it, and he spent the money. If we're gonna go ahead and do it and put a fence around it, I think that's sufficient. I don't see any reason to rip it up and then bill her, and then add to that Mr. Renaud's concerns about cost of collection.
The last encroachment is, there's an old 4-foot fence on the southerly side, and the westerly side of the property are 2 storage sheds on the southerly side, along with other various, outside the storage, various items. I think that's when you said they removed the sheds, correct?
Right.
You said?
Mhm.
Okay. So I think there's some fence there that has to be dealt with.
Do we have a consensus of what we'd like to do at this point? Mr. Hanson?
I'm going back to what Councilman Tarantino said, on, the fairness question. And I think I'd like to pose it in form of our own properties, why should the taxpayers at large pay for an encroachment that a private property owner has made, or, as Jim indicated, a previous property owner, but, private property owners made in their property, why should the taxpayers at large pay for that? But then, Bob, I didn't recall what you just said about the collection. I think that probably would be difficult. It isn't a matter of just being able to place a lien on the property?
No, I mean, I can't think of any statute that allows.
An encroachment, there's no statute that
There
allows.
isn't any statute that I know of that pertains to encroachments. I mean, probably the best thing that we could do, the problem with all of this stuff is it's gonna take an awful long time if we follow them. For example, I suppose I could make up an ordinance that has to do with encroachments, which probably wouldn't be a bad idea anyway, onto municipal property, onto park property, and require people not to encroach. But I mean, now what you're gonna do is you have an ordinance and, we'll order the people to remove the encroachments. And then if they either don't or they're unable to, I suppose we could fine them or bring them to municipal court. I mean, that's another possibility. It's not that there's absolutely nothing that can be done. My concern was with the cost effectiveness of whatever the remedies are as opposed to whatever benefit we're getting from them. But I mean, if the feeling is, we want to have the people remove the encroachments or collect for the removal of the encroachments and have the borough recover it, I suppose that I could probably do that if that's what you want to do. I mean, those are the decisions you have. There's a simple, what I'm saying is, I guess, the simple and even though Tina's telling you, and she's right, that there's some expenses involved with installing these fences, it still seems to me that the least expensive way to do it is to just go out and put the fence up.
Yes.
I just feel like what we're doing is,
And the most expensive way is to remove whatever encroachments are there and then go and attempt to recover the cost of removal of the encroachments from the property owners. That's what my concern is. I mean, maybe we'll get the cost back.
but what we're
Lou,
doing
is
is
it
we're
long
sending
enough?
a message that our letters meant nothing, that we just told everyone. So we asked you to do
Right.
something, you didn't do it, don't worry about it, we'll take care of it ourselves. And this first gentleman, he should have just waited, because you know what, he did it, he was a good gentleman, he was a good resident, he abided by what we asked him to do, but if he didn't do it,
We would've picked
we
up
would've
that
picked up the tab.
which
So
was
he should've just
multiple
never
thousands.
done it.
Whatever, I don't want to be part of the debate. I'm not, I'm not taking a position. All I'm doing is telling you what the options
Okay,
are.
Council President, then we'll go to
Thank you.
Mr. Brown.
Councilman Petrozelli, curious question, okay? You think it's long enough for a shuffleboard court? Seriously, I mean, I'm serious. I mean, you could very easily make it one. Keep the asphalt, put up the fence, make it a court.
It is pretty long. I mean,
Yeah, it's 60, you need 60 feet.
Kids could probably put,
How about a bike track?
or something. But,
Right.
Foursquare.
Foursquare, that's the popular one.
Foursquare.
okay.
But,
But my question for you, Bob, and I know that you don't really want to, hash this out, but what about the person who took care of it and incurred some expenses in doing it? Can they turn around and try to recoup those expenses if we just decide to take care of these things on our own dime?
No.
No, they can't.
Sarah,
So that there is no expense, perhaps the DPW could take down the old wood fence and maybe drill the holes in the asphalt, and then there would be no other expense involved dollar-wise, just DPW labor.
they probably have to get some equipment to drill those holes, I would think we had some.
And even if they don't, that part is.
the expensive part's taking down the wood fence, I think
Yeah,
is the
that's
point that you're
where-
getting to, it's almost
And the other part
$1,200.
was on $400, so, to put the pipes into the asphalt, so.
Mr. Mayor, I mean, the installation of the fence is something we have to absorb anyway, because that's going to be our cost.
Right, that's our-
So that's not on the table, we have to pay for that. I mean, I'm inclined to just pay to install the fence, and we're not just talking about this one property, or we're talking about all three right now? Two, all three.
Yeah, all of the,
All right, can we do one at a time then?
Fence installation,
right,
right,
let's
we
do-
only capture those two things on the quote.
All right.
So if there's
The
more,
patio that you have, we haven't even gotten into that yet.
If there's other areas, I'm not,
Well, no, the one that you mentioned, you said the patio and the overhang.
maybe
We-
took it out.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I thought you said that was one of the three that was not taken care of.
There's one or two that,
I
I mean, there's two that
three
have.
that I believe weren't taken care of.
Weren't taken care of, and
Or
one of
they
them was a
may have.
patio, and one of them was a patio.
I did say the word patio.
Right, so we haven't gotten into that one yet.
Well, the fence, I'm giving you this information about the fencing quote, it doesn't mention anything about patio.
All right,
It doesn't
let
mean
me
it
back
doesn't,
up.
it doesn't mean it doesn't need to be removed,
All right, let me back up.
okay?
I apologize. Let's hit these one at a time. Okay. Forget about cost, let's just take policy. Okay, policy in terms of the eastern encroachment, which is the 10-foot or a 12-foot driveway, and there's an existing, the chain link fence there now? Stockade. Okay, so then the question at that point is, who's gonna pay to take down the stockade? Who's going to pay to remove asphalt, if anybody? And who's going to pay to install a new fence? I think the installation of new fence, that's our cost anyway,
Correct.
so that's not on the table. So the question comes down, can DPW take down the stockade fence? Sure. And I think if we're installing the fence, let the fence company dig the holes, that's their business.
That's part of it, yeah.
And in terms of the asphalt, let's leave it for now. I'm sure we can come up with some, quote, playground game that could be placed on that asphalt.
Okay.
Does that make sense to everybody?
Perfect sense.
Does everybody concur with that? Or-
Yeah.
All right, so let's now hit them one at a time. Tina, what's the next one? The wooden, isn't there another one with,
There's only,
another wooden fence?
there were 4 to begin with, and there's only 3 left.
Right, so pick one of those and let's hit it.
Okay, 116 Myrtle is the asphalt and the fence,
Yeah.
stockade fences.
All right, that's what we just did,
Oh,
right?
and sheds, did somebody, is that the one with the sheds been removed?
Willow was where the sheds were moved. Or moved, not
On 116
removed.
Myrtle, it says in my letter, the driveway is approximately 10¼ feet over the westerly side of the property, and the stockade fences and sheds on the westerly and northern side of the property are reaching into the arch.
All right, so that's the same, Mr. Mayor, that's the same property.
That's correct.
All right, Tina, does it say how far the sheds are encroaching?
Here's a
Do that.
Did Don go to the fencing contractor?
Don got the quote, I don't know if he met with him, Don got the quote.
Yeah, I have to believe it did.
Wow, these are considerable.
Here's, this is the, picture for 119 Willow. And here is the one for, 167 Myrtle.
Do we need to postpone this until Dawn gets here, or?
The one with the overhang, Don made it sound like we didn't have to worry about that
I
last
agree.
time back in December, if I'm remembering correctly.
The overhang, right, just the.
No, I think we can do this, Councilman. The sheds are not on the Myrtle Avenue property. The property line for Myrtle Avenue, I just showed this to Bob too, so he can concur with me. Those two sheds are not on the Myrtle Avenue property. They must be on the Willow, or maybe even the new, I guess it's the Willow though. So yeah, so I think 116 Myrtle, I think we just resolved. You concur, Bob, that those sheds are not on the Myrtle Avenue property?
You know, the problem is these surveys were done 2 years ago, and I have no idea whether the situation still exists. I
Well-
think not, but I have no, I mean, I don't know that, I can look at the survey and tell you what it says.
Yeah, I mean, that's
But
all
I
I'm
don't know
asking.
whether this situation still exists.
But that's all I'm asking. Those two sheds are not on the Myrtle Avenue property, correct?
Just saying.
I mean, I read these things all day long. I'm just getting a concurrence with you. You agree? I say thanks. You're saying do that, surveys.
And I know that a property owner on Willow moved two sheds into their actual property more because they were encroaching.
The rear property line of, the two sheds are beyond the rear property line of the Myrtle Avenue property.
Is this the property we were just talking about, the driveway?
Yes.
Well, if they are, then yes, the sheds are not on the property, lot 20. No. Encroachments on lot 20 by lot 19. The sheds are not on lot 19, they're on lot 20, which I believe is our property. But I don't, for some reason, I have in my head that these sheds have been removed unless there's other sheds. I sort of agree that we should have Don here to have this discussion, because I have a recollection, not 100%, but I have a recollection of him indicating that somebody had moved sheds that were encroaching. And I don't know if these are the sheds that were removed or
I
not.
believe those were the sheds located at 119 Willow.
I agree.
I'm more than certain.
I agree.
I
with
agree
that.
as well.
If those two sheds are still there, Bob.
Are they on the park property?
If anybody
They were,
wants
but
to
they were
see
moved. They were moved.
where our fence is going, I have that material here as well.
Can I take a second, Bob? I would agree with you, Bob. They're definitely on lot 20. Tina, the properties on Willow, do you have
We're
block
not,
and lots?
Um,
If not, let's just put this off.
we're not gonna determine whether the shed will move by sitting here unless somebody looks.
Well, that isn't an issue. 'Cause it's not, they're not on the subject property.
I don't have the block and lots.
They're not on the Myrtle Avenue property. They're on the property adjacent to it. What Bob is asking is that property could very well be ours, but I think it's.
That is on the
20.
property that's
Yeah.
shown there. I'm 99%,
Let's-
90% sure anyway, but I don't know if they're still there. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if they're still there.
Personally, I would think it might just be better to have Don here as well, because
Right.
there was that other questionable property with the overhang and then possibly a patio that I remember him saying in December that it was taken care of, but that's not 100%. It sounds like it's not 100% right now,
Well,
so.
I think
Might
the
as well
best
wait.
suggestion now is wait till Don comes back. I know he's gonna be away for a little bit, but I think they
Yeah, just
can
one,
bring
one
this to a conclusion.
one thing, Mayor, just real
Yes.
quick on that. I agree with you. It's just that this has been hanging around for a while, and if I recall, we're in violation of the grants that we got by having these encroachments on the property. So I really would like to see this remedied. I don't think tonight's tonight, but I would like to see this remedied sooner rather than later, because I think technically we're in violation. It's just too important.
Good point. I'll pursue that, thank you.
Okay, so since Donald won't be back for a bit, would you rather I write to him and see if I can get some answers, or,
Yes, because you know the question.
okay then, so I'm gonna find out what
Do you mean,
encroachments are.
when you say a bit, what do you mean by that? He won't be at the next council
No,
meeting?
that's correct.
Will he, and he'll be at the first one in February, I'm
Yes.
assuming? I think we all wanna get this done sooner than later.
Or
Well, at
he
least you can reach out to him, you know.
Okay, I just
I
wanna
know he's
clarify.
only a phone call away from emergency, so whenever I need to be appropriate.
And Candy's partner, Mr. Deck, perhaps show, he's a surveyor also.
All right, I'm finding out from him which encroachments remain, is that what you want me to find out?
Yes.
Okay, and once I find that out, bring it back to you next time? Is that what you want me to do?
Yes.
Okay, got it,
Thank you.
that's all I have.
Any unfinished business, council? Any new business? I have the,
Oh, no, I didn't.
I have a couple of things. First of all, at my mayoral speech, I mentioned that the mayor's Saturdays will continue, and I've asked some council people ready to join me. In January, Council President Musat will join me. In February, Councilman Martin, and in March, Councilwoman Tarantino will join me, and we'll make this schedule forward from there. Also, I've been questioned about dog licensing in the month of January, talking with Ms. Amriama. We are going to have the borough office open on January 27th, which is, I believe, the council night, between 4:30 and 6:30, so people can come in and do the appropriate application for a dog license. So, thank you. Any comments or matters for discussion from the members of the council? Councilman Martin?
Yeah, I just wanted to say one thing. You know, a lot of times we'll come up and we'll have plaques to have a recognition and so on. And tonight is not a night where we're going to give a plaque in recognition, but I just wanted to mention someone who's, I think, really responsible for our day-to-day operations, who does not ever get enough credit, and that's Tina Oriyama, who is probably an unsung hero of the Borough of Garwood in the way she runs things, she prepares things for us, she does all there is to do in terms of running the town and administrating staff. So thanks, Tina.
Thank you, Mike.
Councilman Martin, anything else? Thank you. Councilman Matthew?
Just real quick, apropos what you were talking about before, Cranford is having its rabies clinic, 9:30 to 3:30 this coming Friday, and Saturday is Springfield's, which I think is 10:30 to 12:30, for anyone looking to get free or reduced cost rabies, so you can get your dog license. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Can Garwood participate in Cranford?
Oh, yeah, yeah, anybody in the state.
Good news. Okay, Councilman Petrozelli?
Yes, the only thing I really have, Jim, I know you're on buildings and grounds. You might want to reach out to Fred, because I don't know, like, if you noticed, I'm quite sure everybody noticed how warm it is in here. And I know that during the month of December, he did have an issue with the boiler, and I think it was something to do with the controls. I haven't spoken to him in about a couple of weeks, so.
Okay.
Just reach out.
About the boiler in this building.
Yeah, I mean, every time I come in here, it's really hot.
No problem.
Well, I just want to mention that the company says that we need a new system, it's a lot of money. What I've been asking for is another opinion, because it's obviously working, it seems like it's a regulator or thermostat to me, because it just won't shut off, but it's
How
definitely.
old is the boiler in this?
It's original,
Right.
yeah, it's
It's
original
there.
to the building, but, I mean, just like what Tina's saying, I mean, obviously the boiler seems to be working very well. It's just-
Too well.
Too well.
Too well.
Can't rate it.
The thermostat.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I know we did get some quotes on changing it, but I don't think that
It's a lot of money to be going,
And
it's
Tina,
not necessary.
what's the temperature like during the day for the staff?
Stays in here, this area just you can't shut it off, and my office, for a while it wasn't working, now it's working. It's fine over there, it's fine with the police department as far as I know, right? It's okay over there? Okay.
Yes.
So it's just in here we can't shut it off. There's different zones and stuff, and I don't really know the technical part of it, I just feel like if we're gonna replace the boiler, it shouldn't be working, not working.
If you're gonna have any type of a meeting with Fred, just let me know, maybe I can be there for it too.
Good.
Because I was kind of there when he brought it up, and I didn't think that changing the boiler was the answer.
Okay. No, I hope it's not the answer.
We
I'll
all do.
vote on that. Thank you. Anything else? Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Tarantino?
Well, I just want to let you know that I put in front of everyone a resolution, a procedures, agenda, ordinance, and resolution. I'm going to be talking about it during the regular meeting in a very lengthy report that I have. So if you have a chance, a few minutes during the break, just read it over, familiarize yourself with that. I mean, we're not going to move it or ask to move it tonight. We'll talk about it at another time, but just read it over if you have a chance. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Tedesco?
Thank you, Mayor. I have a few items, of course, no surprise. First of all, I just would like to bring up the freeholder meeting schedule that I talk about every first meeting in January. I recommend that the council continue to keep a rotating schedule for county freeholder meetings in order to better understand what is taking place at our county level of government. I know it's not always easy to make the meetings, we are busy, and they do require some travel down to Elizabeth, but I do think it's important that we go on a rotating basis still and come back here and report our findings. So I did bring a schedule with me tonight to pass out with everyone's names next to it. Since the mayor has, the mayor's Saturday now being attended by council people, I decided to give Council President Nearset a break for January and just keep it in alphabetical order. So Councilman Martin would have the first month of January, and then you would have the 7th month too, after we cycle through the first 6. Obviously, so if everyone doesn't mind, I'll pass that out later.
Thank you.
The second item I have is also related to the county. We had a resident bring forward to us an issue about the matching grant for the Open Space Trust Fund. And he did give me documentation on that trust fund and how it was implemented. So it does appear that the original ballot question back in 2000 did not make any mention of matching grants. I read it for myself. However, I would like to investigate this issue further to see what other counties around New Jersey are doing with open space money and report back to the council for us to have a discussion as to whether or not we want to advance a resolution to the county asking them to change the grant from matching to direct. So probably in the course of the next month, I'll come back to the council with some updates on that front. The next item I have, let me see here, is in terms of the RVSA. Also wanted to give the council an update. I reached out to the our representative to the RVSA, Steve Greet, about seeing when we're going to get notification of whether or not they decide to lower the fee that Garwood needs to pay for 2015. Right now, we're looking at least a $45 on the average home increase, so very, very substantial, and I'm basically reaching out to him to see if he has a ballpark estimate of when we would find out if that's going to change at all. I also reached out to him to ask if he would possibly come to a meeting to discuss this further, and I let him know that our next meeting's on the 27th. Haven't heard back yet, but when I do, I will pass the message along to you, Mayor, so if he can come, we can put him on the schedule.
And also, you might mention, I wouldn't hesitate to go to a meeting on our behalf, just to show representation there for our community there.
Okay,
Because
thank
being
you.
a former member, I can probably see some old friends.
Okay, good. You could serve two purposes, right?
Thank you, yes.
Good. All right, that's all I have for now.
Okay, thank you. Council President Nearset?
Thank you, Mayor. I have a few things. Sitting back. First one's very, very quick, just to, I want to make sure, in December, we adopted the ordinance regulating the use of the Garwood Sports and Recreation Complex. There was that one sentence regarding the killing of snakes on site. I think council members agree with me to remove that from the ordinance. Are we okay to direct laws and licenses to do that?
Yes, I'm
Yes.
okay with that.
Are we okay?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Mayor, yes, okay, so, okay. Number two, in front of everyone, you should have a draft letter prepared for council members' review and mayor's signature regarding the New Jersey Transit's off-peak evening direct one-seat service. You know, It's real good, I'm not gonna read the whole thing to everyone, but the letter is one of mixed emotion, because we're thanking the New Jersey Transit for obviously doing it, but has anybody actually seen the schedule?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Councilman.
Well, I should have counted them, okay, but if you were to look at the schedule, you can pick out Garwood very easily, because it's the only one with nothing on it. Every train from 5:58 on to New York, stops at every other community except, all at once, Garwood. So while we benefited by the fact that they're implementing it, we have not gotten anywhere near as many stops as the rest of the community. So I've drafted a letter, and I have sent it to Ms. Ariyama. So, you know, if anybody has any changes or recommendations or typos or whatever, you can, if they can pass them on to you, and maybe we can arrange for the mayor to sign it. That'd be appreciated.
No problem.
Okay. Third thing is the post office. When Councilwoman Tedisco and I were out distributing garbage recycling schedules to people who I guess the post office decided that Third Avenue didn't exist in town.
No, or
The
every other.
fourth?
Well,
Every other?
Third was our first street on the radar, but it appears that the issue is much worse than just Third Avenue.
Well, we prepared another draft, and again, if everybody can take a look. We're actually concerned, residents have brought to our attention the fact that they're getting mail now at 6 o'clock at night. They don't even know who their mail carriers are, because they constantly change. So again, just prepared a draft letter for everyone to take a look at it. I did just contact Congressman Lance's office today. And for the first time, I didn't disagree with them.
For the record.
For the record. They do know me by name. Anyway, since it is U.S. Postal Service, obviously it's federal, contact our federal rep. And if we get this letter off to them, they will indeed check out what the U.S. Postal Service's plans are with the Garwood Post Office.
And just a side note, you mentioned that the literature is at the Borough Hall here, and also if anybody needs a garbage schedule, the public library has a supply of them also,
Also on the website.
and they're on the website.
Thank you. Next one, I apologize, I'm going to read. Martin Luther King felt quite life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? This year, I, through the Celebrations Committee, and in honor of the January 19th Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King and Service Day, have created a partnership with the Borough of Garwood, St. Anne's Parish, Garwood Presbyterian Church, God bless you, perfect timing, God bless you, St. Paul's United Church of Christ, Grace Christian Fellowship Church, and New Communities Church, to collect soup and crackers for distribution to Garwood seniors and those in need. Parishioners of those churches have been asked to bring cans of soup, boxes of crackers, or a monetary donation to the January 18th through 25th Super Sunday Masses to provide a bit of, quote, God's warmth to those less fortunate. Collection boxes will be in the rear of the churches as well as here in Borough Hall. Monetary donations will be used to purchase additional soup, crackers at local supermarkets who are also participating in the cause. I urge everyone to support this cause by dropping off soup and or crackers at Borough Hall or at their church. I mentioned last year I wanted to try to get something going for Martin Luther King Day. If you look in the paper, you'll see I've already seen Cranford and Scotch Plains have their programs out, and so I'd like to get Garwood on the map. This is the first year, and we'll build from here. So if anyone is interested, and Mr. Westfield Leader, I asked if you could get that in there. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Next to last, last week the Borough of South Side lost power for a few hours. While this outage certainly didn't fall into the realm of emergency management, Mayor, I just wanted to ask if we've heard anything from our coordinator since he made the presentation last year.
I've reached out to him by phone and he hasn't responded as of yet.
So we're going to advance,
Yes.
because it's sort of become a pet peeve of mine, because it's been 2 years that I've been on here, we still don't have an adopted plan, so
I understand.
can get that done this year, it'd be great.
We're looking sooner than that, Council President.
Thank you, yes. Last, I took note that last month's packet, the Borough of Roosevelt Park distributed a resolution opposing Senate Bill number 2412, and Assembly Bill number 3628 entitled Water Infrastructure Protection Act. And this sort of goes along with what Councilwoman Tedisco was talking about. It's that action was in response to a request from the Roby Valley Sewer Authority due to their opinion that it would negatively impact ratepayers. Perhaps we can ask Mr. Grieve when he comes here to discuss that also, because we're talking $45 already, and this is going to increase it even further. That's not good. We have further impetus, Mr. Mayor, to get Mr. Grieve here. Okay, and that's it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Thank you.
Mayor, may I add a couple of things since they sort of follow up with Council President's report? First with New Jersey Transit, I did have an item not related to the one-seat ride, but just about our train station in general. A resident who takes the train from our station daily reached out to me about a problem that he's noticing and other residents that take the train are noticing, that we only have one shelter from the elements at our train station, and this issue, of course, is particularly difficult when it's 9 degrees outside or raining, snowing, and so on. And approximately 30 train riders are at the stop in the morning, but the shelter can only fit 5, maybe 10 people at maximum. So I did reach out to the mayor of Fanwood, Colleen Marr, since I know that she works closely with New Jersey Transit on issues like the one-seat ride. So I figured she could give me a number that would actually work, and it wouldn't just be one of those regular 800 numbers. And she did give that number to me, which was great. I was able to speak with John Leon. He is the Government and Communities Relations person for New Jersey Transit, and he said the request for at least an additional shelter seemed reasonable to him, and he asked that I put the request in writing via email just to document it that way, and he said that he would pass it along to the people that he needs to in order to get this moving for Garwood. And he already responded to my email that he received it, so it seems like we're really moving forward as quickly as we can on that. And so I just wanted to let the council know where I was on this, and also I've been in communication with Council President Nearset about this issue, as I know he's well versed with New Jersey Transit. The other item I had to follow up with the garbage schedule, I just want to mention that if you still haven't received the garbage schedule, there is a lot of important information in there about our bulk pickup program and more, so feel free to come and pick up a copy here at Borough Hall, or you can also find it online on the Borough website so that you can get that information. Thank you.
Okay,
I do sleep though.
not that you're eating us. Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address the mayor and council? Please step up to the microphone, sign in, state your full name and address. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Step right up, Mr. Patterson. And just a reminder, I have a stopwatch for 3 minutes.
It's like a little egg timer for a copy.
Electronics is the new thing to do.
The dinosaur. Good evening, brand new Mayor Lombardo, Bruce Patterson, ladies and gentlemen of the council, Bruce Patterson, 225 Blue Avenue. I just want to clarify about freeholder meetings. I'm not, I'm really happy that Sarah's pushing this agenda where we have a rotating schedule, although I've been going to the meetings and it's kind of a hit or miss, but hopefully everybody joins in this year. But normally there's 4 meetings a month, sometimes there isn't, but the first meeting would be an agenda setting meeting, and that's actually where department heads and division heads come up and they actually have resolutions asking for money for various programs, and the freeholders then ask questions. So that's the first meeting, and also the third meeting. The second and the fourth meeting is then actually the public speaking meeting and the freeholders voting on those resolutions. So I'm not sure which meetings you're actually going to be required to go to, but those are the 2 different types of meetings. And it is interesting that the first meeting is the one where actually the freeholders do discuss with the department heads. And I'll tell you, the Republicans are always complaining that they don't talk, but they see the wrong meeting, that's what it is. So that's it. So it's your choice which meetings, whether you go to all 4 or 2.
I just assigned by month. That's it. Luckily, some of those meetings are the same night. agenda and regular sometimes.
Oh, yeah, sometimes it's a double meeting,
Yeah.
and it lasts a little longer. Just a second item, yeah, the open space trust fund, you're gonna look into it a little further, obviously, I made my, tried to make my case anyway about that being, additional taxation, which really stresses the, 2% cap. But in further thinking, and maybe Attorney Renard could agree, we're looking at like a double jeopardy situation, where if they're making us match open space trust fund monies, then that would be considered open space trust fund monies also, and that is against the covenants of whatever the assessment is per the homes, so many cents or whatever it is per $1,000. So we're really talking about pushing the open space trust fund covenants to be twice what they really should be. So we're talking double jeopardy here. So I seriously think that's illegal, what they're doing. So that's something to consider. The third part is the RVSA, and I just want to mention, and it's not like I memorized every number, nor the finance chair desk over the past 2 years. But as I recall, 2013, the RVSA increase was around $60,000, and then 2012, the RVSA increase was around $30,000. So for 3 years, or maybe it was 20,000?
I think it was last year 60, the year before 30, but.
30, yeah, okay. So 60, 30, and whatever this year that they're going to be assessing us. So we're talking about 3 years of major increases, and hopefully when Steve Bree gets here, I'd really like to know about the other towns. Are they experiencing 3 years of major increases? Why is Garwood getting hit for a huge amount of money? It's a small town. That money, like you said, $45 coming up. And of course, that's going to stress the 2% cap.
If I may just say, as you know, in your past experience, Warwick Valley can go up 3 different ways. The rolling average, if one other community goes down, someone else goes up.
Yes,
Just
it's
take a
spread.
metering. That's the 3 ways. Other than that, there's no other justification.
Well, something obviously is apparently wrong. Everyone is obviously going against us, and that's just wrong. So, hopefully we get this resolved. Something's not right there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Not hearing anyone else, so I'd like to have a motion to adjourn the workshop.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Report back at 7:55.